Hey, my yogi friends, thanks for joining. This is my first yoga class via Zoom from my home, courtesy of Big Bear Yoga. Thank you, Lisa Ann, for arranging this. Thank you for joining us, Caesar. You guys might hear what sounds like conversation. That's only one-sided, but it is only one-sided because Caesar's on the other side and I'm on a microphone, so you can't hear that there's an actual conversation going on during the class. However, I hope that you enjoy it. Take care and namaste.
So if you're ready, let's bring it down. So one of the other things I'm going to try to concentrate on is having my pitch of my voice come down a bit, because I realize I have a bit of a high voice and I'm trying to talk more down, lower, like lower by the diaphragm, lower into my chest and not up in the sinus cavity. So we'll see how it goes. So I'm closing my eyes. I'm going to inhale, bring my shoulders up, and then back down on the exhale, pulling the shoulder points together on the back, resting the shoulders, pulling them down, hands resting on the thighs. And right now my eyes are closed, so let's start a few breathing cycles. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale, expanding the belly and the lower ribs, the upper ribs, the collarbone, up the back of the neck, up to the crown of the head. Now exhale. Release the tension out of the neck. Allow the shoulders to fall. Allow the ribs to come in a bit. Allow the belly to pull in against the spine. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale all the way down to the bottom of the spine. Inhale all the way up to the crown of the top of the head. Exhale. Now as you inhale, try to create the Ujjayi breath, where your breath goes across the back of your throat, warming up the back of your throat, the Darth Vader breath. Inhale. Pause. Exhale. Now on your next inhale cycle, I want you to concentrate on trying to stretch it to the count of 5 at this pace. Okay? But I'm not going to snap in your ear because that's not very calming. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Now what I'm going to ask you to do is stretch that to about 7 counts. Going all the way to 10 might be a little difficult. And I want your inhale to be as equal to the exhale as you can make it. So let's take a moment for one big inhale. Exhale all the way. Now inhale to the count of 7. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. One more inhale. Exhale. Let it all out. Now I'm finding that when I take time to really think about the breathing in those specific ways, it's a whole different quality than just breathing. So I've started counting a little bit. I know it sounds kind of mechanical, but I've started counting because it distracts my mind to focus on nothing but breathing. And when I have to tell my mind to increase the length of the breath, I don't know what you feel, but I almost feel a high when I start to do that. Yeah. And then you can spend 20 or 30 minutes doing that, where all you do is focus on how much breath can I get in and how much can I exhale without panicking. I have found when I increase it to 10 breaths and then beyond, that if I try to match that same exact amount of breathing on the exhale, when I get to the bottom of the breath, my brain says that I don't have enough oxygen and it wants to just suck air in. But the real task is, can we breathe with control on the inhale once we reach the bottom of the cycle of that breath? So I've been practicing that at the beginning a lot with yoga, and it just immediately brings me down. And since I've got kind of a very type A personality, it's probably good for me to bring it down. So let's start to integrate. What were we going to say? Exactly. So we're going to integrate some movement now, introduce some movement. So this is Edgar Allan Poe, by the way. Kitties are always calming. Isn't he precious? We got him about a month and a half ago. A friend of mine said that the people next door left him. And I know, right? And she said, this kitty will wrap around your neck like a scarf, and he's so sweet, but we're allergic to him. Can anybody take him? So we have the greatest gift, and all of us on a daily basis come to visit him and get our therapy, our Edgar Allan Poe therapy. Because look at him. He's just the most, because he doesn't react to the animals, because he's got, that kittens have a lot of energy, but they're innocent like children. So they don't react to things in the way that a mature cat will. So he doesn't give them a reason to chase them because he looks bewildered if they hiss at him or if they bark at him. He just kind of stands there. So he doesn't really draw their attention. So my smaller dog she can be kind of a bitty, but he doesn't react to her, so it's like, I don't worry about her with him. And my German Shepherd, he's got a high predatory drive, so I can have the kitties around him under supervision. But as soon as, yes, he killed a chicken when I got him. Exactly. So we're just aware of that. And one of my cats, actually two of my cats figured out if they just stared at him for a long time, he wasn't reactive. And the kitten, like I said, doesn't really draw attention. So I can during the day, if I'm home and I'm downstairs with the dogs, I can leave my downstairs door open, allow him free come and go. So it's not a problem. But during the day, if I'm not home, I make sure that the dogs are separated from the cats, at least the bigger dogs. The smaller dogs, they're always going to protect themselves. I know you can't see it, but the door behind me has a little kitty door opening like the Tom and Jerry holes in the bottom of the walls, So my cats all have escape routes. So you got to plan these things, right, if you're going to have a household that's not too segregated. So anyway, now that we've gotten ourselves settled, let's introduce some movement with our breath. So let's inhale our hands overhead. Exhale. Create length in your spine as you bring your hands down to the floor slowly. Inhale, pull your shoulder points together. Widen your collarbones. Use up all of your back space as you rise your hands on the inhale. Exhale, hands down. Grow your spine. Create space. Inhale, rise your hands up. Use up all your back space. Exhale, hands down. I'm just going to talk my right side, my left side, so don't look at the screen for guidance, okay? Place your left hand on the floor near the outside of your left hip and inhale. Bring your right hand overhead, reaching for the corner of the ceiling. On the exhale, spiral your right shoulder back, twisting from the belly button. Inhale, reach long for a nice, beautiful stretch. Exhale, rotate your right shoulder back. One more inhale. And then on the exhale, switch your hands. Bring your left hand overhead. Exhale, spiral your left shoulder back, twisting from the belly button. Inhale, reach. Exhale, pull that back. Inhale, reach. And then exhale, bring your left hand down. Inhale, both hands up. Exhale, bring those hands down, extending the space in the spine. Inhale, reach overhead. And then on the exhale, pivot from the hips. You might, if you have a blanket underneath, you might move it out of the way. Remember, we ran into that last week. So inhale, hands overhead. And then exhale, pivot from the hips forward, reaching as far as feels good to you, guiding with your heart. And then when you reach a point that it feels comfortable, lower your hands onto the floor. Inhale. Exhale, walk your hands forward. Spider points if it's possible to you. I don't know about that finger. Inhale. Exhale, reach forward. Heart center moving towards the floor. When you've reached the stretch that feels good to you, just hold it for a few breaths. Make sure your breathing is from the belly. You've got lots of space for your belly. Let's do one more breath together. And then on the exhale, walk your hands back. Change the position of your feet. Whichever foot was behind, put it in the front. Inhale, both hands overhead. Exhale down. Inhale, hands overhead. Collarbones wide. Use up your back space. And then on the exhale, lean forward, pivoting at the hips, guiding with your heart. And then reach for the floor. Inhale. Exhale, walk your hands forward. Inhale. Exhale, walk your hands forward. Enjoy the stretch as you breathe a few cycles. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. That's okay, I didn't hear anything. Oh no. What's going on? You want to talk about it afterwards? Do you want to talk about it now? What do you want to do? Okay. All right. So I'm extended out, so I'm going to inhale. And then on the exhale, I'm going to walk my hands back. Inhale, hands overhead. And then exhale, hands down. So because tabletop is probably difficult for your hand, let's transition into, You can do tabletop. Okay, so let's do tabletop. And if you need to modify it, go ahead and modify it to protect that finger. Oh, yeah. Okay, that makes sense to me. Okay, so I'm not sure, you have your camera on, right? So before we move forward, because you wanted to know what puppy dog pose looks like. So in puppy dog pose, you would move your knees back a little bit more as far as feels right to you. And then instead of, being up on your feet, basically it's like preparation for downward dog, but you never get up. You go down, you move your hips back, and you stretch out the front of your body. Can you see it? Exactly. But it's a really delicious pose, actually. So we're going to integrate a lot of that in our practice today. We'll probably do less downward dog and more of that. So on the inhale, let's go into cow. Bringing your hips up, bringing your shoulder points together and down your back as you shine your heart up and forward. And then on the exhale, reverse all of that. Tuck your tailbone, arch your back up toward the ceiling. On the inhale, reverse all of that, bringing the hip points up, bringing your shoulder points together down the back, shining your heart forward and up, opening up the throat, leading with the chin. Exhale, reverse all of that. Chin toward the chest, tailbone down, arch the back up. Let's do one more cow. And then exhale into a neutral spine. And then let's move our knees back and try that puppy dog pose. Go ahead and give that a shot. So what's nice about puppy dog pose is it's a nice grounding pose. You can put your forehead on the floor, and it gives you the safety and the space to stretch out your shoulders, the front of your shoulders, your side waist. It's a really comforting pose. It's a restorative pose. Go ahead and breathe. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. On the next inhale, return to neutral spine into tabletop. So it means moving your knees forward, moving your hands back if you need to. And then I want you to inhale, bring the crown of your head forward. And then on the exhale, look over your right shoulder and pull your right hip towards it like you're creating a letter C. So you should be able to see all of the outside of your right leg and part of your calf and part of your foot right now. Inhale into neutral spine. Exhale to the other direction, looking over your left side, creating a letter C to the left. One more inhale. Exhale into neutral spine. Lift your right hand up into the air. So take your left hand and place it more towards the center of the mat and inhale your right hand up, twisting from your belly button. And then on the exhale, thread that hand underneath your left arm and lay your shoulder down on the floor. Pull your hips a little bit to the right so that you're centered more. And just enjoy this stretch along the outside of the right side of your neck, along your shoulder, a little gentle spinal twist here. How does this feel to you? Yeah, this one's a gentle one. This is nice. Just concentrate on how this pose makes you feel grounded, calm. Let's inhale together. And exhale, return to neutral spine tabletop. Let's do a cow. And then exhale into cat. Inhale into neutral spine. Exhale, pull the belly button up to the spine. On the inhale, bring your left arm up to the ceiling. And then on the exhale, thread it underneath your right hand, laying your shoulder on the floor. Gentle stretch along the left side of your neck. Gentle spinal twist, gentle shoulder stretch. Breathe and ground. One more inhale. Exhale into tabletop. Inhale into cow. Exhale into cat. Inhale into a neutral spine. Go ahead and tuck your toes and sit back on your heels. And take a little time to rub your feet a little bit, massage the arches of your foot. Stretching out the, huh? Oh. Yeah, we have a hairy house also. I get it. My house is really hairy. Say that again? Well, actually, my other dog is a terrier mix, so she sheds like crazy. And she's got that hair that sticks to everything. It's like magnetic. Yeah. 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 Well, Mato, when he's ready to be groomed and blown out, he sheds a lot. Yeah, and he's got some Akita in him. I'll have to show you a picture of him before we're done today. Okay, go ahead and flatten your feet on the floor and sit back on your feet if that's available to you. If you need to, you can take your blanket or you can take a block and set it underneath your feet here. So we're not in hero pose. We're just sitting on the heels. But as I had shared with you, doing a lot of deep knee bends each practice is very good to bring fluid into the joints. And you can massage your legs while you're sitting in this position. Some people have a hard time with this, but it's really one of my favorites. Oh, yeah. And we won't go into hero yet because it's early in the practice. We need more hip opening for hero. So we'll wait until we're further in the practice and have introduced a little bit more hip opening. All righty. So if you feel ready, why don't we transition to standing? I'm not going to take you through downward dog because of your finger. So there we go. All righty. So now we're standing in Tadasana. I want you to inhale and bring your shoulders up. And then exhale, bring the shoulder points together on the back, widening the collarbones. And take a moment to scan your body and how you're standing in this pose. So we start with the grounding of our feet. Our feet are like our connection to the earth. They are the root. Take a moment to take a look at your feet. You can look down. Lift up your toes. And make sure that all 4 points of your foot are in contact with the ground. So we have 2 points on either side of the front of the foot and the 2 points of the heel. Now lower, starting with the baby toes. And each toe until you get to the big toe. And try to create like a webbing with your toes so that you have maximum contact with the earth with your feet. Now as you scan forward up, you want to make sure that your hips are stacked over your ankles. Tilt your tailbone slightly. Engage the Mula Bandha root lock. And you engage that by tucking your perineum and pulling your belly button in, which engages all of your lower core muscles, right? And then what are your shoulders doing? Pull them back a little bit. If it helps, I always find it helpful to inhale the shoulders up and then back. And then move your neck back slightly. And make sure that the crown of your head is pointing towards the ceiling. So you should feel strong in this pose now. Palms facing forward. Your elbows might be close to your ribs, as mine are. Maintaining all of this alignment and space. Inhale your hands up, pulling your shoulder blades together. Exhale down. Inhale up. When you reach the top, if you want to, you can engage a little bit of the back bend. Exhale down. Inhale, hands up. Exhale, bring your hands to your third eye, to your chin, to your chest. Take a moment to take stock in how you feel. Take a moment to have some gratitude that we're here today, that we're able to be together, that we're healthy, that we can move and breathe and enjoy this moment. No matter what's going on out there, we know right now we're okay. Inhale. Exhale, hands down. Inhale, hands up. And then on the exhale, bring your hands out to your side. Bend your knees deeply, hinge at the hips, and fall forward. Allow your hands to touch the floor. Take a moment right now to just allow the back of your legs to open in this deep knee bend.
And if you want to, you can spread your feet apart a little bit, clasp your elbows, and allow your chest to pull towards the floor, increasing that stretch on the back of your legs. If it feels good, you can integrate some movement. I'm swaying from side to side, allowing my crown of my head to pull down toward the floor. No tension in the neck. And then when you feel ready, find stillness and just allow the hamstrings to continue to gently open. Go ahead and place your hands on the floor. Walk your feet close together, about fist points apart, so that's about hip distance. Bend your knees deeply, and on the inhale, roll up. Hands are hanging low, no tension. Head is still hanging low. When you get to the top, inhale your shoulder points or your shoulders up and back, and then lift your head and gently open your eyes. Inhale, hands overhead. Exhale, hinge at the hips, swan dive forward. Hands touch the floor as you go into forward fold. Inhale into a flat back. Exhale down into Uttanasana. Inhale, bring your hands out to the side as we reverse that swan dive all the way up to the top. Exhale, prayer down to the chest. Take a moment, one breath. Inhale, hands down and then back up. And then exhale your hands down, or your body down into forward fold, Uttanasana. Inhale into flat back. And then exhale, I'm going to transition to downward dog. You can transition to puppy pose if you want. So this is a beautiful stretch along the front of the body. Breathe for a moment. I think I'll join you in puppy for a second. One more inhale together. And then the exhale, move forward. So you can do it on your knees if you want. Back into standing pose. Inhale, arms up. Exhale, prayer pose. Hands down to the chest. Inhale, hands down and then back up. And then exhale, swan dive forward. Inhale into flat back. And then exhale, transition into downward dog or that puppy dog pose. Inhale. And then on the exhale, we're going to be moving into lunge. So however you get yourself into lunge out of that puppy dog, do that. So when you're in lunge pose, what I want you to focus on is alignment right now. So if it helps you to have blocks on either side, you can choose that. Because what we're focusing on is what the hips are doing right now. So I want you to clip your heel of your right foot back as you pull your left hip forward. The other thing that we talked about last week was pulling your hips together on either side. So basically we're centralizing that muscular energy. Isotonic toning. Okay? So you're pulling back the front foot as you pull your left hip forward, and I want you to remember what this feels like. And while you're in this, I want you to pull your chest forward, pull the crown of your head forward, and breathe.
We don't realize how much work is going on when we're doing something like this, but there is. Inhale. Exhale. Now reverse your feet. So however you do it, I'm just going to put one foot back and the other forward. So whatever works for you. So you might find, Caesar, that if you had two blocks, you could have them up high, which would allow you to not have to use that finger as you make that transition. So same principle, isometric toning here, okay? So you're pulling your left heel back as you pull your right hip forward, pulling the sides of your hips together, centralizing your muscle energy. Lift your hips a little bit in the air. Pull your chest forward, the crown of your head forward, and breathe. The blocks are nice because they allow you to pull your shoulders down and pull your heart forward and really focus on alignment. You don't have blocks? You need blocks. I didn't realize you didn't have blocks. All righty. Now we're going to transition back, go back into that puppy dog pose. Breathe deeply. One more inhale together. And then on the exhale, transition back into another lunge. So however you get there, get your foundation established, and then on the inhale, bring your hands up. So in this position, concentrate on what we just worked on. Pulling your right heel back, pulling your left hip forward, pulling your hips together. Like we said last week, your hands are like additional. They're like the frosting on the cake. So the pose comes from the foundation you establish. That's what gives your heart room to move and your arms room and the ability to extend in the pose once you've established that foundation. Inhale. And then on the exhale, go ahead and put your hands down to the floor. Move back in transition, however you do it. So now my left foot is on the front, my right foot is on the back, and then I'm going to inhale my hands up. Concentrate on extension once you've created the foundation and the roots. One more inhale. Exhale your hand down. Go ahead and transition back into that puppy dog pose. Gosh, I think I'm going to integrate this and practice this more. This feels wonderful. Let's inhale again together. Exhale. Now let's move forward into a lunge again. And actually, let's leave our left knee on the floor. So we're starting off. You can start off with one knee on the floor and your other knee bent. So this is like preparation to go into a lunge, right? And we did this last week, remember? So what I want you to do is inhale, grow your spine long. And then on the exhale, lean forward. If you need to put something underneath your left knee, do that. But we're encouraging a front of the hip stretch. Make sure you're tilting your tailbone down, pulling your belly button against the spine, engaging your root lock, your mula bandha. And then when you feel you've done all of that, now you can grow your hands long. Exhale. Inhale, reach your hands long, and if you want, do a little bit of a back bend. Exhale. Inhale, reach. Exhale, bring your hands into prayer pose. Inhale. And on the exhale, clip your left elbow on the outside of your right knee and twist from your belly button, pulling your right shoulder back. Looking at the wall behind you. Make sure to create extension by pulling your crown toward the front of the room. One more inhale. And then exhale, reverse up. Place your hand on the floor. Go ahead and put right knee behind and bring your left leg forward. And then rise, put your hands on your knee. Inhale. And then exhale, bend your left knee deeply to create that deep stretch in the right hip. Engage your Mula Bandha root lock. Pull your belly button in, engage the muscles in your lower abdominal, tilt your tailbone slightly down. That's your foundation there. When you feel that that's established, go ahead and raise your arms up. Exhale. Inhale, reach. Exhale. On the next inhale, create a little back bend. And then on the exhale, bring your hands into prayer pose. Inhale. On the exhale, twist. Clip your right elbow on the outside of your left knee and start to twist from your belly button, pulling your left shoulder back. Crown of the head forward, looking at the wall behind you. Breathe. Inhale. Exhale. One more inhale. Exhale, place your hands down on the floor. Transition back into puppy pose. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. One more inhale. Exhale. Now let's move into a warrior series. So let's just find our way into standing pose. I think that'll be easier for you. Inhale, hands up. Exhale into prayer pose. And then I want you to inhale. Now on the exhale, take your left leg, bend your right leg, and move your left leg back. So go ahead and find the warrior position of your feet for warrior one. So you want your left leg to be at roughly a 45-degree angle, the toes facing forward, your right leg deeply bent, your toes facing the front of the mat, and then put your hands on your hip points. And what you're aiming for is for your hip points to be straight forward. So if you extend your hands out, they should be equal, leaving your hip points. If you're not able to achieve that, you can widen your stance slightly to allow more space for your right hip to pull back and your left hip to pull forward. And that is warrior one. Bring your hands up. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale, reach. Then on the exhale, open this up into warrior two. You will have to change your foot position. Your back foot parallel to the mat. Your right foot, toes facing forward. Your right knee is pulling outward. Tilt your tailbone down. Well, your right knee is stacked over your ankle and you're pulling it to the right. Did I say forward? Sorry about that. So, I don't know what you can see, but I've got a nice deep bend in my right leg. My left leg is very straight behind me. Hands are out to the side at shoulder length. And the strength of this pose comes from what's all happening in the hip and pelvis region. So tilt your tailbone down as you open up your hips. Pull your belly button in against the spine. Pull your shoulder points together. And look out over your right hand. Find your drishti pose or your drishti view, where you're looking out calmly at one fixed point. Now, turn your gaze so that you're looking straight ahead in relation to your body. So instead of looking out over your hand, you're going to turn your head to the left. Bring both hands up. Reach your hands to the ceiling. And then on the exhale, bring your hands down and clasp them behind your back. And if you can, straighten out your arms, which you accomplish by pulling your shoulders together in the back and widening the collarbone. If that's not available to you, you can bend your elbows. That's totally okay. But concentrate on pulling the shoulder points together. We're setting up for humble warrior. So inhale, bringing the chest up to the ceiling. And then on the exhale, you're going to move forward towards your right knee, pulling your shoulder to the inside of the knee. And then, if available, pull your hands up overhead and allow the crown of your head to move towards the floor. So this is like you are bowing to somebody. You are in deference. You are being humble. This is not an easy pose. It involves a lot of strength in the right hip. Let's breathe together one more time. Inhale. And then on the exhale, using the strength of your core, stand back up. Inhale, bring your hands out to either side. And on the exhale, cartwheel your hands down to the floor. And go ahead and move back into puppy dog pose. Take a moment to take stock in how that feels. My mat's moving back, so while you're in puppy dog, I'm going to move my mat forward again. I'm on carpet. And it's hard to do yoga on carpet. I don't know about you, but that was a lot of work. I know. It's been quite a week. Let's do one more inhale. And then on the exhale, let's transition to standing again. Inhale, hands up. Exhale, hands into prayer pose. Inhale. And then on the exhale, bend your left leg as you bring your right knee back and find your warrior one position with your feet. So remember what we said, your toes, your right foot is kind of at a 45-degree angle. Your left foot is straight forward, your left knee bent deeply. And then to get your hip points facing forward, pull your right hip forward as you pull your left hip back. And then do a check by putting your hands on your hip points and moving them forward to see that they are straight. And then on the inhale, bring your hands up. So you might find that each side is different. I definitely do. One hip is more open than the other. On one side, The front of the hip is more open. On the other side, the back of the hip is more open. But what we are always shooting for is balance. Never exploiting the side that's more open and encouraging the side that's less open to open more. Inhale. And then exhale into Warrior Two. Change your feet position so that your right foot is parallel to the mat. Your left toes are facing forward, your left knee deeply bent, your left knee trailing towards the outside of your toes on that side. Tilt your tailbone, pull your belly button in, pull your shoulder points together. Find your drishti as you look out over your left fingertips. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. One more inhale. Exhale. Maintaining the same position for Warrior Two. Bring your hands overhead and look to your right, so straight forward in relation to your torso. Inhale, reach for the ceiling. Exhale, bring your hands down and clasp them behind your back. Mine are underneath my tailbone. My arms are straight. That may work for you. That may not, but pull your shoulder points together. Widen your collarbone. If your elbows need to be bent, that's okay. Focus on creating space for the heart to shine forward. Inhale. Exhale. Setting up for humble warrior. Inhale. Bring your heart center up. And then on the exhale, start to bend forward towards your left knee, pulling your left shoulder inside the left knee. Hands overhead if that's available to you. Crown of your head facing the floor in a deep bow of respect. If you find that your bottom is kind of sticking out to the left, pull it forward so that it's more towards the right side of your mat. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale, bring your body up using your core strength. Exhale, hands into Warrior Two. Inhale. Exhale, cartwheel your hands down and then move back into that puppy dog pose. How you doing there, Caesar? Remember I told you, I don't believe there's beginning, intermediate, and advanced. There's extension, breath control, and how long you can hold a pose without freaking out. Can you keep alignment? Can you breathe deeply? Those to me are all the indicators that we need to know how we're progressing. So how are you with standing twists? Are you cool if we go into reverse triangle today? Okay, cool. All righty then. So what we're going to do is take a nice deep breath together. Exhale completely. Go ahead and find your way to a standing pose. Inhale, hands up. And then exhale, taking your left foot, bend your right foot, make your way back into Warrior Two. So, I did it in one step. If it takes you 3 or 4, I don't care. And then once you arrive, take a nice deep breath. Now on the exhale, straighten out your right leg. Now we're going to go into reverse warrior with a straight leg from here. On the inhale, reach up to the ceiling. Your left hand is resting on the back leg. And just reach. Inhale, reach. Now on the exhale, pivot your left hip backwards as you tilt your body down. Now your hands should be at this point at 6 o'clock and 12 o'clock. And you should feel a deep stretch along the back of your right leg. Now concentrate on your root lock. Concentrate on pulling your belly button up against the spine. And concentrate on pulling your shoulder blades together so that you flatten out your back as if there was a wall behind you supporting you. Inhale, reach the crown of the head forward. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale, plant your left hand on the floor. Shorten your stance slightly, changing your left foot position so that it's at a 45-degree angle. So we are in practice.Namaste. This is pyramid pose. So I want you to inhale the crown of your head forward, and then straight. You can have a micro bend in it, though. You don't want to lock it. So inhale the crown of your head forward. And then on the exhale, allow your heart to descend down, allowing your torso to fall down your right leg. To keep your alignment, pull your right hip back as you pull your left hip forward. And just allow your heart to guide you. Don't force anything. Breathe into where you feel any tension. And the advice I like to give is breathe like it's the easiest pose you've ever done. One more inhale. And then on the exhale, I want you to take your left hand and plant it on the floor. However works for you. You can have it on a block. You can be up on your fingertips. Your hand can be flat on the floor. Whatever works for you. And then I want you to put your right hand on your right hip. I want you to breathe. And then on the exhale, I want you to pull your right shoulder up as you pull your left shoulder down, twisting from the spine. So right now we are in reverse triangle. And if you want, you can bring your hand up. But never lead with your hand. Always lead with your shoulders. And always twist from the belly button. That's okay. Don't worry about it then. So you might just stay in the pyramid pose for a moment. I'm going to breathe one more time. And then I'm going to exhale, return to pyramid. And then I'm going to advise you to bend your right knee and pull your left leg forward. Let's do chair pose from here. You can do that. Inhale, both hands up. Inhale, reach your hands. And then exhale, pull your bottom back like you're sitting in a chair. If you look down, you should be able to see your toes. And all of your energy should be back in your heels, so you can actually lift your toes. One more breath. Now on the exhale, stand up. Inhale, reach. Exhale, bring your hands down and into prayer pose. Take a moment to catch your breath. My heart's beating pretty hard right now. A lot of muscle work. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale, hands up. And then exhale back into warrior two with your left foot on the front, right foot in the back. Did you find it? Okay, good. So on the inhale, straighten out your right leg. And on the exhale, go into reverse warrior with a straight front leg. Hand reaching for the ceiling, creating a nice, gorgeous stretch on the left side. Inhale, reach. And then on the exhale, pivot your right hip back as you teeter your arms down, left hand at 6 o'clock, right hand at 12 o'clock. Now, your hand does not have to touch the floor. You know, you can touch your ankle, your foot. You can even rest on just below your knee if you need to. Whatever you got to do to protect that finger, that hand, right? All right? But we're concentrating on our torso being parallel to the floor. That is achieved by pulling the crown of your head forward. And then the other thing that I like to advise people to do is concentrate on spiraling so that your kneecap is facing the ceiling. And then you can rotate your right shoulder back like you have a wall behind you. You're straight against the wall. One more inhale. And then on the exhale, shorten your stance slightly. Turn your right foot to a 45-degree angle as we prepare for practice.Namaste, pyramid pose. Inhale the crown of your head forward. And then exhale, allow your heart to descend, leading with the heart, looking at your foot, pulling your right hip forward as you pull your left hip back. Deep stretch. You can have a micro bend in your right leg. You don't ever want to lock your knee because that cuts off circulation. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Now plant your hand on the floor, however works for you. Give me fingertips on a block. I usually I'm up high on my knuckles. And then I want you to put your left hand on your left hip. Inhale and then exhale. And then inhale. And then exhale, rotate your shoulders so that they're stacked on top of each other. Left shoulder towards the ceiling, right shoulder down, twisting from your belly button. Maintain your alignment by still pulling your right hip forward and your left hip back. You are now in revolved triangle. And if you want, you can lift your arm to the ceiling, but always lead with the shoulder and the chest. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. One more inhale. And then exhale, put your left hand on the floor. Bring your right foot up to join your left foot. Let's do chair pose again. So get your chair pose position going. Move your hips back like you're sitting in a chair. And then when you feel comfortable on the inhale, bring your body up. Inhale, reach. Exhale, move your hips back. Inhale, reach. Exhale, hips back. Inhale. And then in the exhale, swan dive forward into forward fold. Uttanasana. So when you're in forward fold, you get the deeper stretch by pulling it from the core. So take your hands and put them on your belly button, and then pull your belly button in and see what that does for your stretch. So instead of pulling in against the legs, you create a more natural, organic stretch by using your muscle energy to make it so. How do you feel? Oh, excellent. You can always micro-bend your legs. You're not required to have straight legs here. Let's take a nice long breath together. And then exhale. And then inhale, reverse swan dive all the way up to the top. And then exhale, hands down into prayer position. So we're really strong right now. My muscles are all warm and fired up. How do you feel about Warrior 3? Okay, well, people find it a challenging pose. So I wanted to ask you first how you felt about going into Warrior 3. So why don't we inhale our hands up. Clasp. Huh? What'd you say? Oh, you're getting a drink. I'm sorry. Wonderful. Okay, so I want you to inhale and raise your hands up and clasp them at the top and create like that little church steeple with your fingers and your thumbs are together. You know that, here's the church, here's the steeple, open the door, and here's all the people. That same position. Okay, so I want you to inhale up and then exhale. I want you to put your right leg behind you, toes touching the floor. Okay, so from this position, we're going to create that teeter-totter move where as we move our arms and our chest down, we are lifting our right foot up. So I want you to inhale. And then on the exhale, hinge at your left hip. And as your right leg is rising, your fingers are going forward, your chest is descending until you reach the point where you have achieved the letter T. And then once you get, you can if you want to, if it will give you stability. Okay? But once you reach the top, then you reach your hands forward and reach your foot back. Hold it as long as you feel like you can. Let's do one more breath together. And then on the exhale with control, descending your right head, foot to the floor, hands up into the air till you reach the top. And then exhale, bring your hands down into prayer pose. Take a moment to catch your breath. That warmed me up. They call that, I think they call that heart attack pose, to keep you from having a future heart attack because it really makes your heart pump. And I don't know about you, but I just lost my breath. So we'll take a moment to find our breath. Exactly. But it really strengthens the heart muscles, Okay, I'm going to take one more breath. And then exhale my hands down, inhale my hands up. Now create your church steeple by reversing your fingers from the position they were in before. That keeps your mind moving into balance and equality on each side. So inhale your hands up. Exhale, point your toes on the floor behind you. Take a moment. Inhale. And then on the exhale, begin your teeter-totter. Hinge at the right hip. Hands moving forward to the front of the room. Chest ascending. And then when you've reached the top of your pose, you've reached your letter T, then I want you to reach your hands forward as you reach your foot back. And breathe. One more inhale together. And then on the exhale, start to descend your foot to the floor as you bring your hands up. And then on the exhale, put your foot together, bring your hands down. Catch your breath. That's a pose that will make you feel so strong. Look at all that's involved in it. Whew. So let's do a more easy standing pose. Let's go into tree pose. So catch your breath. One more inhale. Then on the exhale, pick your foot position. You can have your toes touching the floor and your foot resting on the top of your ankle. That's one option. You can have your foot in the middle of your calf. That's another option. You can bring it all the way up so that it's resting on your inner thigh, up near the groin. Whichever position you choose, you're pushing your hips forward and you're pushing your leg into your foot and your foot into your leg to create that foundation. And naturally, that causes you to pull your belly button in against your spine. Now I want you to really make it advanced by inhaling and pulling your shoulders up. And then back down. Whoa. Doesn't that change it? Now you're very strong in this pose. Now if you want to, you can grow your branches long. And when you're really strong in it, you can even sway, play with it a little bit. Right? Wiggle the leaves on the ends of your branches. Your fingers. Right? Oops, and I just fell out of it. See, I played too much. I got to get myself back in. All right. Right now my hands are out to the side. My branches are spread wide. I'm going to bring my hands into prayer above my head. They say the advanced position of this truly advances when you can look at your hands and not fall out of the pose. I'm not going to try that right now. Inhale, reach your hands up to the ceiling. And then exhale, bring them down into prayer. With control, allow your foot to go down to the floor. Shake it all out. And get ready for side 2. So, plant your right foot. All right. Pick your foot position for your left foot. You can have your toes on the floor, heel on the top of the ankle. You can have your foot against your calf. Or if you want, you can go all the way to the top. I prefer that myself. But honestly, the other positions, sometimes it's good for us to do those because they'll force us to focus on the positioning of our hips, of the pulling of your knee to the outside, of the pushing of your hips forward and engaging all of your locks, your root lock, the one at your belly button, the lock here at the bottom of your abdomen. Right? And then the advanced pose, remember, inhale your shoulders up. Exhale, pull them down your back. Whoa. It's amazing how that changes the whole pose. And then I want you to inhale your hands up. My hands are like in a letter Y configuration. My fingers are like the leaves of the trees. And if you want, you can try swaying. It's a real challenge. Easy to fall out after swaying a little bit. But that's why the foundation is so important, because that's what allows the movement and the play. Inhale your hands above into prayer. And then exhale your hands down to prayer pose at your chest. Inhale. And then exhale with control. Let that foot down and shake out the other. Woohoo! So, Caesar, to do some of that hip opening we talked about, would you like to do pigeon on the floor today, or do you want to repeat what we did last week from the seated position? Doesn't matter? Well, goodness, let's just do real pigeon then. So let's go ahead from standing position, inhale our hands up. And then exhale, transition back into that puppy pose. I got to straighten out my mat. Boy, doesn't that feel great. Now we are ready to move back into hero because we've really worked our hips, so they should feel more open. So, hero is when you put your knees together, kind of creating that W. Have your legs, your feet out towards the edges of your mat, and then you sit between your feet so your bottom is on the mat. If you need to put something underneath you to raise your bottom slightly, then you can do that. You're getting a blanket? Oh, you know, I need to order one too. I'm using this old, I don't know if you can see this. I'm using, remember those old blankets that were like, had like characters on them from the 70s? I don't know. Oh, this one has a cat. Look. Isn't that hysterical? But it's honestly kind of a good yoga blanket because I can stack it nicely. But I need some of those Mexican blankets. I love those Mexican blankets. And I've been talking about because of, yeah. Well, and Canada shut down their borders, so I guess it only makes sense. And I think a lot of the European countries are doing the same thing, just to prevent movement. Yeah. So I don't know how this feels on you. You said you like to do those deep knee bends, but you can also push against your feet with the heels of your hands and get a little massage of your feet, too. That's what I'm doing. That feels good. I can get a good stretch in my feet, though. For everybody, this doesn't work. But it's working. I'm pushing on my arches with my thumbs and with the heels of my hands. Kind of like a baby foot massage, you know. Like we talked about, the feet take so much abuse and we forget about them. And you talked about, you know, people whose feet atrophy and that shuffle that they have because of it. Yeah, so all of this, we're defying the aging process. Yay! Absolutely. You got to keep on moving. That is the key to all things. All right, so if you're feeling like you've done enough stretching in this, I mean, I feel good I could stay here forever, but I'm not going to keep you here forever. So let's go ahead and transition to hands and knees and pull our right foot forward. And then kind of we're going into a wide lunge. So what we're doing is, so lift your knee off the floor, but you can have your left knee, your left foot towards the edge of your mat, your right foot towards the other side. And basically all we're doing is just doing a nice wide lunge to open up the hips. Okay? I'm swaying, so just encourage those hip muscles to open up a little more.
This just helps when we're going into pigeon preparation to open them up a little bit before we head in. And then when you, You know, I'm telling people to do what works for them. So some people do, you know, like she pointed out, you know, kind of sit on their leg like this when it's straight forward. I don't ever do that. My hips are open enough. But I'm not able to get my shin parallel to the front of the mat like you see. You know, people that are trained in the Anasura tradition have amazing opening. But I've never been able to do that. So mine pulls back. So I've laid my foot down. My left foot is facing the left side of the mat. My knee is facing the right side. And right now I'm kind of sitting up. So to increase the, Exactly. I can barely see you because I don't have my glasses on. But what I want you to concentrate on now is I want you to pull your right hip back as you pull your left hip forward. And I just want you to take note on what that does to the outside of your right hip. Yeah. So the stretch of the pose is not what you're doing with your torso. It's what you're doing with your hips. It's what you're doing to create that balance that we've talked about by making the hips equal. You're stretching out the back of your hips on the right side and the front of your hip on the left side. Now, if you can try to maintain that, then I recommend that you descend down. So for me, I have shoulder issues on the left side, so I rarely will extend my arms in pigeon because I'm always afraid of dislocating that left shoulder. But I'm getting as deep a stretch sitting here on my elbows. And if I want to deepen it more, I'll put my elbows out to the side and I'll stack my hands and I will lay my head on my hands. And they recommend that you hold these deep poses for at least 10 cycles of breath. Let's take one last deep breath together. And then exhale. Raise up a little bit. And if you want, you can kind of move your left leg back a little bit more as you lift up your chest. Shine your heart to the ceiling, little baby back bend. Stretch out the front of your left hip. Whoa. And then let's move back into puppy dog pose to give a little bit more circulation back into that right leg now. Take note of how it feels. Let's take an inhale together. And then exhale. Let's move into that lunge on the left side now. So just put your left foot forward, put your right foot towards the edge of the mat, and then lift up your right knee. And then just
sink into your hips and sway to start to open up your hips as we prepare for the next side. Move in any way that feels good to you. And then when you're ready, walk your left foot over towards the right edge of your mat. Send your left knee. There we go. Pigeon preparation. Are you there? There you go. So now that you've arrived at that pose, I want you to pull your left hip back as you pull your right hip forward. So on this side, I'm far more open, so I don't feel the deep stretch by just making that correction like I did on the other side. But I remind myself of it all the time. And you're going to find that if you keep on telling yourself to align within these poses, you will become really strong in your base and in your core. It will really advance your practice a lot. Yeah. So if you feel ready, go ahead and descend down. I'm going to start off first on my elbows. And once I'm descended, I remind myself again to pull my right hip forward as I pull my left hip back. And then I'm going to put my elbows out to the side, stack my hands, and place my forehead on my hands. And hold this for at least 10 breaths, nice and deep. One more deep breath together. And then on the exhale, right. Take a moment here to pull your hands back, pull your shoulders down your back, extend your collarbones, shine your heart. Exhale, and then let's bring our right foot forward. Actually, let's go back into puppy dog first. Balance, balance. And now we can transition from that into a seated pose. Let's go into bound ankle pose. We talked about that last week. Remember, with bound ankle pose, what you want to aim for, if you need to lift your hips, do that, okay? But you want your back to be neutral. You want to be able to pull your shoulders up and back down together on your back. Say that again. Feet are together. And I'm not holding my toes. I'm actually holding my ankles because that allows me to get my back more in alignment. Have you arrived? Awesome. So just enjoy this pose for a bit. And then if you want, you can find them at your toes, pulling your toes up a little bit. So did you look at those pictures of Iyengar in the bound ankle pose where he's actually got his feet like in prayer pose against his lower abdomen? Like Oh my gosh, you should take a look. It's really, I mean, that man did yoga all his life, and obviously his body. They sure do. And they sit differently. Remember we talked about last week, the American style of sitting really makes us stiff as a board. It's very damaging to us. Yep. Yep. I think you have to train your body. Yep. Exactly. And honestly, if Americans had that habit, we would do that too. So, yep, right. It's true. So, is that why? Hadn't thought about the reason. Yeah. Well, Americans in general don't move enough. Americans want things to feel easier, so the way we sit, I think, is a reflection of that. But ultimately, it causes injury. Huh? We kind of do, and that's what kind of causes injury to us. It's true. I know. I've slept in them. I know. I know, and I have. So I've paid $10 to have a nap. Okay, so if it feels good to you, you can lean forward in this. That increases the stretch in the middle thighs, and you can even increase it more by pushing your elbows down. Well, it's okay if you can't. I'm not really that far either compared to some people. I mean, some people can completely lay down across it. If I were consistent, if I could do yoga every day, but I don't, you know. But I know I'm still getting a great benefit. And after a long practice like this, I feel good all day long. So if it feels good to you, I'm going to move my feet forward now into that diamond position that we talked about last week so that I can stretch out the back of the hips and the lower back. It does, doesn't it? And it's gentle. There's really no stress in this. So what did you think about the chakra class last week? I thought it was really good. Yeah. It makes me want to study them more deeply. A chakra set of what? Oh, okay. Cool. Nice. Well, if you get a handle on those Mexican blankets, I would like to buy a few. How much is he going to be selling them for? Did he tell you what? Oh, geez. Oh, my gosh. Okay. Yeah. So I want to get like 5 of them, if that's cool with you. Yeah. I like them to have on my deck in the summertime when we sit out on the deck and it's chilly at night. It's nice. All right, go ahead and rise up. And now is the time to transition to Shavasana. You have worked so hard and hung in on these all strengthening poses. So I want you to transition down to the floor. Find the lying down position that feels best for you. If you want to have a blanket underneath you or over you, feel free. And take the time to let me know when you're in the position you want to be in. All righty, good. So now start to return your breathing to normal. Say that again. Oh, okay. Just scan. Release any tension out of your toes, the top of your feet, the arches of your feet, and your ankles. Allow your feet to fall out.
Scan your calf muscles in the front of your calves, your shins. Relax. Let go of any tension in the muscles above your knees. Allow your kneecaps to become soft and fluid. Relax your thighs and your hips. Allow your hips to become heavy and sink into the earth. Relax all of the muscles in the lower belly. Allow your ribs to fall down to the earth. Allow the chest muscles and shoulders to relax and descend down and become heavy. Relax the muscles on the front of the neck. Relax the muscles on the back of the neck. What are your hands doing? Are your fingers clenched? Allow them to fall open. Back of the hands resting on the floor. Relax your muscles of your forearms, your upper arms. Allow your jaw to fall slightly open. Allow your tongue to fall down away from the roof of the mouth. Allow for the muscles in front of your face to relax and kind of melt back towards the ears. Relax the ears and the skin above them. Allow your eyes to fall deeply into your sockets. Relax the wrinkle in your forehead and allow your forehead to become smooth. Relax the skin on your scalp, on your cranium. And just breathe. Imagine something